This is The Joe Gaither Show on BamaCentral.com.
Good afternoon, Tuscaloosa, or morning, Tuscaloosa. Oh, yeah, we're still getting used to kind of doing this in the morning time. Welcome in. This is the Joe Gaither Show on Bama Central and BamaCentral.com. I, of course, am Joe Gaither. You are the listener, the viewer. You're listening to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or Amazon, the Joe Gaither Show on Bama Central. We appreciate you doing that. Or you're watching us on the Bama Central YouTube channel. Lots of great action going on the Bama Central YouTube channel, specifically yesterday, hanging out with the Alabama football players in the Malmore Athletic Facility. Appreciate the athletic staff letting us do that. You can see all those interviews on the Bama Central YouTube channel, or you can find us on my own social media machines at Joe Gaither6 on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, whatever social media you like to use. It is at Joe Gaither6. We, of course, are joined and welcomed. It's our pleasure to have our friend Mason Woods joining us on the show. Mason Woods, you can find him on the Twitter machine at MAWoods_, staff writer across the Walsh Writing Network, but hanging out with us on the Joe Gaither Show as pretty much the new permanent, man, helping me make this show better, making it a lot better. So follow Mason Woods at MAWoods_ as he pushes me a bit more to make this show better. We want to thank our sponsors, our great sponsors, Purple Turtle Roofing, Derek Daniel from State Farm, and Druid City Music Hall for sponsoring the program. Everybody who wants to sponsor the program, you can find us at Joe Gaither6, but make sure that you are hitting up Derek Daniel for all of your insurance needs. If you've got some roofing, look, marry the Purple Turtle Roofing with the Derek Daniel State Farm. You got a roof issue, get them involved together, right? And you can get all of our, and then after your roof is repaired, go enjoy a concert at Druid City Music Hall. There we go. Mason, what are we going to do today? It's Wednesday. It's hump day. We're kind of in that lull. We're not quite to the place where I want to break down Missouri fully. I want to get into them really deep tomorrow. I need to watch them a little bit more. I watched them a little bit yesterday. But what do I want to do? I want to talk about Germie Bernard because Germie was interesting yesterday during his media availability. I want to talk about two former Alabama quarterbacks. Are you making life harder on Jalen Milroe, or are you just generating your clicks, or is this part of your job? Well, we'll talk about two Alabama quarterbacks who are getting out there on Jalen Milroe. We'll look around the rest of the SEC because it is a big weekend. Texas A&M and LSU. Look, I'll be honest with you, Mason. I haven't watched much college football outside of just Alabama-centric. Who's playing Alabama? Who's their next opponent? Let me watch their games from the last couple of weeks. So I'm not really feeling like an expert on this LSU-Texas A&M game because I haven't really watched a ton of them. Not a lot of Alabama's opponents have crossed over with A&M or with LSU. Now I will be watching that A&M Missouri game today. So that's going to be on my docket. So we're going to look at the SEC. We're going to talk about Germie Bernard, and we're going to talk about some of these quarterbacks. Again, we are live right here in the Derek Daniel State Farm studio. We appreciate Derek Daniel sponsoring the program, calling for all your home, life, and auto insurance needs. You can call him today, 205-758-3391. Call and see how much Derek can save you today. Mason, how we doing today?
Doing pretty good. We like you said, kind of the slow part of the week here. We had availability yesterday, and we'll get into that. The interesting comment shared by Germie Bernard. I think he's become quickly maybe one of my favorite players on this team, especially after the way he did that. I thought it was great. I really loved it. I think it's great when any kind of player or coach gets a little tongue-in-cheek moment to kind of have a witty answer to the media that everybody knows has another meaning, but we're not going to say it. It was a good afternoon. Got some nice recruiting work done. Alabama flips 4-star recruit.
Tell me what you find about him.
Marshall Pritchett. From everything I've read about him yesterday, it seems like he is just an absolute vacuum. Like, the guy apparently catches everything. He's got some of the biggest hands you've ever seen. 6'5", 211 pounds. So he's a little bit of a
bigger hands than mine. You think?
I would imagine so. I think I'm probably in that same boat. I've got little bitty. Remember those old Burger King tiny hands commercials? No. That's me. But no, I think this guy I think he's going to pair very well with Caleb Edwards. Caleb Edwards, 6'6", 240, kind of a bigger body, bruiser type. Reminds me maybe not quite as large, but maybe in that like Darnell Washington type kind of role a little bit. And this guy is definitely maybe going to be able to stretch the field a little more. Maybe he can line up on the outside a little bit even. And I'm very excited about them. I think they're going to be a very dynamic duo of tight ends. It's a great pickup for the class.
Well, we got to get. You just got to keep going on the recruiting wins. If you're going to be losing on the field, you got to keep bringing them in, coach. Keep stacking that class. Justice Terry next, maybe, hopefully. Cross year. Mason, by the way, since you are getting on the recruiting train for us, if Justice Terry does commit, you can just go into our back end and look at my little and just pop that bad boy out. So it's already ready for you. We'll see. But great news for Alabama.
Yeah, awesome. I think he's going to be a very good player here. I think he's very talented. It'll might take him a little bit to get on the field just because I think we're a little deep in the receiving targets area probably going forward, but he is very talented, I believe.
All right, so let's start with Germie Bernard. You've got a part of the comments. You've got part of his comments that you latched onto. I have something else that I'm holding from you that you didn't pick up on it or text me about, or maybe you did pick up on it, but you didn't text me about it. But I have something else that I'm really bleeping fired up about. Like really,
I may have missed
so fired up about. But you start,
yes,
because it is fun, and the aspect that caught your attention was what?
Well, we talked about it yesterday. You go back to the fourth down play in the Tennessee game, and you see, you watch it, and a lot of people probably didn't even notice it on the original play broadcast. You just see, okay, Jalen Milroe rushed for first down, whatever. They show the field angle on the slow motion broadcast, and you see Ryan Williams and Germie Bernard busting a fadeaway three like they're Steph Curry or something out there. Yeah, like what are they doing? And of course, it goes everywhere on Twitter. Everyone is posting it. What is happening? Oh, the downfall of Bama. Look what they're doing. They look so stupid. What's happening? Nick Sheridan gets asked about it at media availability yesterday, or day before yesterday.
Monday, yep.
And gives a very interesting answer. What was it? There's nothing the players are doing that they're not coached to do on the field.
Essentially, yes.
Which we kind of talked about. And, I think you maybe took the route that maybe that was him covering for his guys a bit. It was handled internally. We're not going to let anything else be said. Not going to let anything else be said on the topic. Fast forward to yesterday, Germie Bernard media availability. From the sound of it, sounded like maybe it was Nick Kelly asked him a question.
We love you, Nick.
We do. Germie Bernard just shut it down. He asked him the same question. Germie Bernard, can you tell us what happened on that fourth down play? It appeared like you and Ryan Williams did maybe a fadeaway shot. Excuse me. And he just says, well, I believe Coach Sheridan answered that yesterday, so that sounds like it's answered. Deal's done there. Personally, I love that. I think that, and I think it goes back to kind of what you said yesterday of that was him covering for his guys. It was handled internally. There was probably some butt chewings had behind closed doors there. And the status quo moving forward is we're not going to talk about it again. Here's the answer. So I loved it. I thought that was, like I said, I love when players, have their little fun jabs back at the media a bit, because obviously that is our job to kind of take our jabs at players and, do things like that. So, I thought it was good fun. Obviously he has been a very big part of the offense the last few weeks. He's really turned it on. I think he's gotten more comfortable in the system. I think Jalen Milroe has gotten more comfortable throwing him the ball. So I think he's become one of the players I really like on this team.
Oh, he's a lot of fun on the field. He's a little tough to interview because he'll just give it to you, right? But and not like, look, my perspective, I don't want to get you in trouble. I'm just trying to ask some good questions and get some conversation. Damani yesterday did not want to talk at all. And it was just like, oh, Damani, what have you seen out of the Missouri offense? And it's like, they're good. It's like, okay. Like, all right. And it was like nothing that he said was wrong.
Yeah.
Literally nothing that he said was wrong. But it was a totally, I'm just here so I don't get fined. I'm just here so I don't get fined. And maybe, I think that Damani's been a little bit overlooked on this team, and maybe he is feeling that a little bit, or maybe he's not. Maybe he doesn't give a rip about any of that, and so to talk to us yesterday was wasting his time. Maybe it was.
Yeah, he might just be one of those kind of players. Those players exist out there where they're just strictly ball.
Yeah, absolutely. But to go back to Germie, the look on Sheridan's face when he gets asked, like, it was like a flashback moment. I'm right back into whoever he chewed out. whoever, because it was someone's idea. I don't know whose idea, whether it was DeMarcus Shepard, whether it was Ryan Williams, whether it was Germie Bernard, or a different wide receiver in the group. It was someone's idea. And obviously they talked him into it, and they did it on the field. But I feel very confident that someone got their rear end just unloaded on over the weekend. Once Sheridan saw that, I was like, whose idea was this? And then a finger pointing starts. Well, coach, coach, it was, and they get to the bottom of it.
Yeah.
I'm not saying finger pointing like they skirted responsibility. They get to the bottom of it, and he gives them the riot act, right? And then he's like, well, I know I'm going to have to be asked about this on Monday. He can either go on Monday and say, yeah, it was receiver XYZ's fault, right? XYZ gave him the idea, and Ryan and Germie just did it.
Or he's sitting here talking about how he threw his guys under the bus.
Yes. And then we're talking about how XYZ receiver is,
he problematic player.
Yes. He doesn't have his head in the game. He's thinking about celebrating. He's thinking about distractions. Mm-hmm. No, Sheridan nips in the butt.
Shut it down.
He says, there's nothing on the field we're not coaching. And I love Sheridan's interviews. They're very short in the press conference because he is very matter of fact. He's either going to answer you or he's not. And so I really enjoy his press conference times. And Germie just backed him right up. But you ready for the part that you missed?
Please.
I wish I should have clipped this. But the very first answer.
Okay. I did hear it. I don't think I really picked up on maybe what you're talking about then.
The very first answer, the very first question to Germie Bernard yesterday in yesterday's media availability is, how are you responding to the loss? How's the team responding? Very vague, very general, very, we just want to get you start to get you talking. And talking he does. How are you responding to the loss? Well, moving on, trying to, get back to the little things, this, that, and the other, very, so far, nothing problematic. And then he's talking about Kalen DeBoer, his response. Kalen's making sure that we're showing up to meetings on time and that we're tucking our shirts in, and keeps going. Blah, blah, blah. And, what are you saying there? First, pause. We can take this several ways. Alabama players weren't showing up to meetings on time, and now they are this week because they lost, or they were already, but maybe Kalen's maybe he's talking about just wide receiver meetings in general, and Kalen's popping in, just being like, hey, it's 8:00. Let me make sure all 15 guys are in there. Great. Move on. Maybe it's nothing. Maybe it's absolutely nothing. But it's a string. It's rope for the negative people to pull on, for the people that are looking for things to latch onto. And so, golly, I left the facility yesterday thinking, no wonder Nick Saban only let a few people talk. Oh, no wonder, because we're leaving the facility, and rightfully so. You're getting the articles on different websites. I don't think that we wrote one on BamaCentral.com about it, but you're getting the players showing up, recommitted to showing up to meetings on time, and it's like, oh my goodness, what a horrific look to say the product that you've put on the field for the last 3 weeks. And well, now we're showing up to meetings on time. It just blew my mind.
Yeah. No, and maybe it's not. I think I heard it, but didn't really I didn't really even think about it like that. I guess that's definitely it's definitely a way that can be taken. It's definitely a way you can look at it. It's definitely potentially an issue if that is the case. I don't necessarily think you can just throw out that he was just kind of blindly talking and didn't really even put a lot of weight into what he said, However, when you're talking to the media, you have to do that because everything you say is under scrutiny. Everything you say is going to be under a microscope.
1,000%.
And that's exactly why, like you just said, Nick Saban had such limited access to his players from the media because,
because it absolutely may be nothing.
Yeah. But exactly. Now we can talk about it. If he had not even said that at all, there's nothing for us to discuss.
Exactly. And so it just is another chapter in this ain't Nick Saban's Alabama anymore.
Yeah. And I hate to bang that drum, but oh man, the last few weeks it has really, really, really reared its ugly head. What do you think Saban thinks? Do you think he's even a little bit connected to any of it, or he's just off playing golf, getting ready for game day every Saturday, hanging out with his grandkids?
A lot of that.
Yeah.
I think a lot of I think a lot of unplugged. I think mainly Coach Saban's focus right now is what are the games that we're going to be talking about on Saturday on game day, so that I don't be looking like a fool.
I really think
I think he takes that seriously right now.
I think he's found his niche there.
Yeah,
he loves it,
and I think that he's playing as much golf as he can, and he's doing the chores for Miss Terry, and he's hanging out with the grandkids, and he was around the program the second week for the field dedication, and he was here in for the Georgia game.
Didn't look very happy.
No, I didn't look very happy at all. But I don't really, I don't really think he's been around Tuscaloosa.
I don't think he has either. I thought right after the transition, took place, and people were still saying, "Oh, Saban's still going to be around the team. He still has." That was always way overblown to me.
Now, I've got friends who I love dearly who have been banging the drum that Nick Saban is still around and that Nick Saban is hounding Coach DeBoer.
No, I don't think that's true for a second.
And that Nick Saban has not given Coach DeBoer okay, so they're talking about the region's tradition, the region golf tradition in the summer, that Nick Saban shouldn't have shown up there because he's stepping on Coach DeBoer's shoes. They're talking about it's like, dude, this is the region's tradition. Like, it's the celebrity who's who. Like, who cares? And they're talking about A-Day. Coach Saban came back for A-Day for the captain's celebration at Denny Chimes to dedicate the captains of his team.
Yeah.
His fast
Let's just think critically here, folks.
No, they're not doing it. I got friends who are just not doing it at all. And I was like, dude, he's got a home up off Rice Mine, but
it's very large. I have driven past it.
But I'm pretty positive most of his time spent in Florida. Pretty positive. And now he's got he's got charity work that he does in Tuscaloosa. When they're here for a charity event, when Miss Terry's got something to do, they're up there at that house. And Miss Terry, oh my gosh, what an angel. What a class for absolutely
all-time guest picker too.
And yeah, she kicked his butt 7-2, right? But it's just like he's not really hanging around Tuscaloosa.
I fully agree. I think he is mostly checked out. He may throw a phone call around once or twice every couple of weeks,
right?
But that's about it.
They say that they moved him an office into Bryant-Denny Stadium. I bet you that thing has gotten used once.
It's got a desk and a monitor, no computer, just a monitor sitting there.
It's got an old school phone with a rotary, with his black book.
Yeah, it's just gray walls. It's got one futon in there.
It's like
mini fridge that's empty.
These are all the trophies they didn't want to keep at the house, Coach. And we don't want.
It's just Nick Saban's extra storage room. He's got some workout equipment in there.
It's a bunch of Bobby Dodd Coach of the Year trophies just sitting over there. And Miss Terry wouldn't let me put these up, and Coach DeBoer didn't want them sitting around because they're not his trophies, right? So a bunch of Bobby Dodd Coach of the Year trophies sitting over on the shelf.
I think Saban is checked out from this program, and rightfully so. He has nothing left to give us.
Yes, I mean, you heard it. Now the biggest thing for Coach is, do you think he realizes that everything he says still is getting written? Everything he says is getting written. Everything he says is getting aggregated. I mean, the Vanderbilt thing got played out.
Yeah.
Oh, the only tough place to not play in the SEC is Vanderbilt.
And then
saying he played at the stadium.
Get his players up to play for tennis, or to play. He didn't have to get his players up to play for Tennessee.
Yes. We never had to get our players up to play. We always were fired up for that game. And then you get on now this past week, it's been all. After the Vanderbilt lost the South Carolina game the week, it was, I don't want to get in the way. He was McAfee was asked if he was giving advice. Well, I don't want to get in the way. And it's like, okay, well, then you've got this week after the Tennessee loss, it's, everybody just needs to get behind. And that's the message, Coach. Everybody needs to get behind and support Coach DeBoer. It's been an awkward dynamic.
It has.
I love it because I have a deep affinity for Coach Saban, but it has presented a little bit of an awkward dynamic.
My aunt went to a church for a long time in Decatur, Alabama. The preacher there had been there for probably 50 years or so. He decided to finally retire one day, And he didn't move out. He just kept showing up to church on Sundays,
sitting on the front row.
And within a year, he was right back up there doing it again because the other guy had been kind of just shoved out because nobody listened to it. I think this is weirdly kind of one of those type scenarios where it's like,
do you think so?
I mean,
because I think it's divorce program,
not the players, the fans. The fans, the media, it's almost like they just completely forgot that Saban retired. He is not the coach here
between
any
you and me, Mason, the one brain cell fans. If you, the people who think that Coach Saban is going to walk into the locker room and say, Malachi Moore, why did you act like a fool in front?
Do you know how horrible of a look that would be if they invited Coach Saban to come talk to the team? Oh my God, that's the worst thing that you could do right now.
Yes. Hey, we're just going to totally undermine Coach DeBoer's authority. Like, get those suggestions out of here.
Go bring LeBron in to talk to him or something.
Coach Saban needs to call Coach Womack and teach him.
Oh, no.
It's like, no, he doesn't.
He does
Womack
not.
needs to just dig into his system a little bit more and really, he doesn't need a pep talk. Not from somebody
not from someone he's already fearing, has the weight on his shoulders. Oh, you have to follow this guy up. That's a preposterous suggestion from people who are clamoring that Nick Saban is behind the scenes, still pulling the strings like the puppet master. It's not true. He is checked out from the Alabama football program as much as he can be. He is enjoying his time with his family. He's preparing for game day on Saturdays. He's hanging out with Pat McAfee,
having a blast.
He seems to really hams it up. He loves it. All the commercials, the Verbo commercial, that's one of my favorites. The no kids allowed.
2:30. Chickens at 3:00.
He loves it. It is such a shift from how he was as a coach. But I feel like we all kind of saw it coming.
Yeah, because the people who covered really, and the people
who
knew Coach Saban,
he loves attention.
He loves attention, and he's a showman. He's a showman at heart. So any of these commercials and all this, and he's getting a chance to show. You want to hear my ball knowledge, boys and girls? Boom! Here's 3 or 4 hours of ball on Saturday morning, and I'm just sitting there plug me in, coach. Teach me.
It's a fantastic panel they have there right now. It's still a little too much McAfee for me, but I can.
Hey, everybody else, shut up! You and Kirk.
Yep.
Kirk, you just interview Coach about football and what they're doing and scheme, and I'll just sit there and just geek out for 4 hours. Mason, you want to talk about some people who are not displaced from the program, apparently?
Yes.
All right, let's talk about some Alabama quarterbacks. But before we do, we want to thank our friends at Purple Turtle Roofing. They're the most reliable residential roofing replacement company in Alabama and Mississippi. Purple Turtle Roofing, whether it's addressing leaks, storm damage, or general wear and tear, they'll deliver exceptional roof repair for your property. Purple Turtle Roofing is the leading expert in local residential roofing solutions, specializing in providing unparalleled service and quality craftsmanship for all your roof replacement needs. Call Dustin Foley and his team today at 877-PT-ROOF-5 for your free roof inspection. That's 877-787-6635 to schedule your appointment, and one of their qualified employees will come check out your roof for free. And make sure you're prepared for any and all of life's storms. You can check them out online today at roofturtle.com. And once again, we want to remind you we're live in the Derek Daniel State Farm Studios. You can visit Derek Daniel right off of McFarland Boulevard or call him and his team at 205-758-3391. Call and see how much Derek can save you today. All right, Mason, let's talk about... Dude,
this is a touchy subject.
AJ was one of my heroes.
This is a touchy subject.
Yes, it's a touchy subject because AJ was one of my heroes.
These are two figures in Alabama history.
They're on opposite ends of the public spectrum.
Yes.
If people haven't kept up, and if you haven't kept up, that's A-okay. That's why you're listening to the Joe Gaither Show. AJ McCarron and Greg McElroy. You all know Greg McElroy's got his show with Cole Kubelik up there in Birmingham. And honestly, I think they do a really good show.
It's a good show.
I think that they bring you real good ball, real good knowledge. People hate on Greg. In my opinion, I think people hate on Greg too hard. And then people obviously hate on Cole Kubelik for the Auburn factor. I personally like their stuff.
One of my favorite things every week is Cole Kubelik's SEC rundown that he tweets out.
Yes.
I love reading it.
They know football really well. And I think that people are just really sensitive about, you don't like Alabama. I think that Greg loves Alabama. But I think he's really committed to trying to be
stay neutral,
a straight up media guy. And I think that Cole is pretty committed as well, but obviously still has that Auburn running through him, and he should. Both of those guys bled for both those programs, so it makes perfect sense. But Greg goes out there first. Let's start with Greg because he's actually in the media.
Mm-hmm.
And look, if you're actually in the media, you cannot avoid talking about it. And so some of my opinion here is a little bit lessened. But Greg goes out there and talks about Jalen Milroe and talks about what he's been seeing over the last 7 weeks and says that sometimes he feels like Jalen Milroe goes up pre-snap without a plan, takes the snap and thinks, oh, bleep, here's what's happening. Oh, no, here comes a blitz. Oh, no, here comes a twist. Here comes that. They're rotating coverage. Oh, I thought it was man. Now it's zone. Whatever the case may be. Suggesting that Jalen didn't have a good enough plan and suggesting that he is kind of sometimes caught off guard and thus thrust into, oh, no, now I've got to improvise. Oh, no, now I've got to lean on my athleticism. And, oh, no, now I've got to recalibrate in the middle of the play. And suggesting that has been what has been kind of junking up the reading of the defense. All right, so there's one. There's Greg McElroy. A.J. McCarron, not in the media. A.J. McCarron, former player, just recently retired, St. Louis Battlehawk, great, XFL, long time in the NFL. We love him. And honestly, I drank all the A.J. McCarron Kool-Aid as a.
I fully thought the Bengals, he should have been their starting quarterback.
I thought, what are y'all doing with Andy Dalton? Getting rid of that guy for A.J.
Yeah, I was on that train 100%.
And so I loved A.J. And I still do to this day. But he goes on to, it's Siski and
McCready?
Yes. A podcast down in Mobile.
Which, another good show.
Very good show.
Yes.
Very entertaining. Lots of insider stories.
Yes. Lots of very, very entertaining
very
insider
entertaining,
stories.
very fun. And basically says that Jalen Milroe stinks. It was more nuanced than that.
Yes, but he was very blunt.
It was much more nuanced than that. But people ran with Jalen Milroe is not the quarterback he thinks he is. That was kind of the quote people ran with.
Not the quarterback he wants to be.
Right.
I think that's a little less harsh than not the quarterback he thinks he is.
Sure.
But yeah, he was pretty harsh.
And there was a lot of nuance in there.
Yes.
He was complimentary of his ability to run. He was complimentary of his athletic ability. He was complimentary of his arm strength.
Yes.
But he basically said that his ability to work through reads and to deliver a consistent football is lacking and has been lacking. And he, in his assessment, has not taken a step forward from last year. He said he was still the same quarterback that he was last year. And that's kind of been the big debate. Has Jalen Milroe taken a step forward? And man, the same friend group that was getting on to me about Nick Saban was talking to me about Jalen Milroe, and I love them to death. But they were right. I didn't have anything to say. Yeah. I had nothing to say because they're saying, oh, Jalen Milroe is this, he's that, he's a cool running back. Look, the first 4 weeks of the year, I thought, wow, he has taken a step forward. He's reading the defense.
High.
He's reading the defense.
All of you were
he's
wrong.
Seeing it pre-snap.
He's awesome.
Yes, because he was.
Yes.
He was. Oh, they're in cover one. I'm going to hit this seam route from the slot from Ryan Williams. That's one-on-one. That's going away from the free safety. Perfect read, my man. Yeah. They're great up at Wisconsin. Oh, they're in cover two. I'm going to make the post fly, kind of put the far side safety in the bind, and boom, Ryan Williams is open because you guys covered Germie Bernard. Like, there was obvious growth on tape in the first 4 weeks, and then it just bleeping evaporated.
Yeah,
it's evaporated to me, and
that's what almost leads a little bit of credence to the injury rumors to me. Is just how sharply it has fallen off. It was not a gradual fall off. It was like first half of the Georgia game, best play I've almost ever seen him have.
He was like 8
second half of the Georgia game, terrible. And
he was like 10 for 10.
Yeah.
He was dealing to debris underneath. He's dealing to his receivers underneath, and that's opening things up down the field. It was just like, oh, Jalen Milroe just smut
awesome.
film. It was incredible. And then
you start to see it slip that second half. You miss some throws, some inaccurate passes. So you go to the next week, and it's just gotten worse and worse.
And, okay, part of it on film, you are seeing defenses do it. Tennessee straight up They said, this is the Jalen Milroe plan, baby. We go in 9 in the box, 8 in the box. We go in to crush you on the edges. It was really, really heavy on the edges, and you ain't going to be able to do it. And it worked. And so it's like, is that just the book on Jalen Milroe? Is he hurt? What's the next counter here? Okay, I want to go back to the quarterbacks, the two previous quarterbacks, real quick, because I have deep affinity for both of them, really. Greg McElroy, quick little story about Greg McElroy. For me personally, when I worked for the football team one season, 2008, 12-2, SC West champions, lost to Florida, lost to Utah, right? I'm a student assistant coach, special teams, more interacting with the special teamers. None of the players really knew who I was, which is fine. A very, 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 very extremely minor figure. I'm not trying to sell anything here. We're after the Sugar Bowl. Alabama's lost to Utah. Everyone's heartbroken. And Greg, I'm kind of playing fly on the wall. Scott Cochran pumping him up in the hotel. This is your time. And next year, boom, Alabama goes undefeated. And Greg and I shook hands a couple times during that season and just had a couple, hey, how you doing during that season. Nothing deep. I don't want to sell anything. Fast forward, I am 2015, maybe 2015, 2014, 2016. I think it's 2014, actually, the first year of my late marriage. I'm working on my ex-wife's birthday. That might be recent there. You guys can put those two together. But Greg was one of our favorite players. Great. And Greg was eating in the restaurant that I was working in. And Greg was hamming it up, having a great time with his people. He should. And I was serving his table. And Greg was absolutely great to me during that night as a, service industry to eatery person. And so at the end of the meal, I said, hey, man, you're my wife's favorite player. Will you sign this? He's like, oh, yeah. To Greg McElroy, happy birthday, roll tide. So I have nothing bad to say about Greg. And really, I don't have any personal experiences with AJ, but I have nothing bad to say about either of them. But I'm uncomfortable with this, Mason.
Yeah.
Because of the fact you're a former player.
You
what
it's
were
like.
In that seat. You were in that seat. You know what it was like to come back home from Columbia, South Carolina, losing a game that you never should have lost to, Greg. AJ hardly ever lost. He was the bleeping man. He was. Yeah. But he lose. It was AJ that got kicked sick, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So. He was the quarter, right?
I think so. They all run together now.
All the heartbreak runs together. But essentially, my uncomfortable nature, my discomfort lies in the fact that these guys know what it's like to be criticized, and these guys have access that neither you, the listener, nor I have. Look, the listener's frustrated with Jalen Milroe. Oh, you need to play better, Jalen Milroe. Look, you have nothing. He's giving no ties to you.
Yeah.
Right. And AJ can pick up the phone, probably, I'm assuming, based on his status and longevity, he can get into the building pretty easily. So can Greg. We can have these former players. Look, you have seen a lot of former players over the last several weeks. I'm not happy with this. I'm not happy with that. And it's your right. You bled for the program. It's your right to express your displeasure. But me, I'm uncomfortable with it just a little bit because you have a different level of access, because you can go back to whatever player you're upset with. Hey, Johnny, you didn't fill the gap right there. Hey, Billy, you didn't hit your block right there. Hey, Billy, I expect more from you, whatever the case may be.
And maybe I don't know. To me, that type of interaction would be so extremely valuable if I was a player for this team. That would mean the absolute world that Mark Barron reached out to me, or whoever it is. I see tweeting about Alabama football a lot.
Marquise
Mays, that's who it is I'm thinking of. Yeah. But if one of them just reached out, hey man, love to pick your brain a little bit. I'm going to be in Tuscaloosa. Let's talk about what happened here. That would mean the world.
Okay. No. All right. I agree with you. Do you think? Here's you and me being older, little being boomer.
I wonder.
Do these?
I don't need to listen to him.
I hate being that way.
I know.
But do you think these young kids are saying, yeah, sure, I'll listen to former player X, former player Y, former player Z? I don't know. But I just have a little discomfort when the former players are spouting off a little bit, because I think they're adding problems. And, they knew what it was
There's nothing
like.
positive that comes of them making those
Exactly.
statements.
They knew what it was like to be in that seat, to have the weight of the Alabama Nation on them.
Yeah.
And look, the Alabama Nation's as supportive as they come, but pretty critical when things happen. So it's tough. It's two sides of a tough coin, of a big, big coin. Oh, boy, Mason. All right. Real quick, we got a couple minutes left, and we're going to talk about the SEC, and we'll wrap it up before. So let's look at the schedule for this week. Let's pull up the SEC schedule. And
Texas
look
Vanderbilt, game of the week.
Oh, yes. Go Doors.
Texas in a trap.
Powerhouse Vanderbilt Commodores going to take down the Texas Longhorns, make it a tough look. Hey, welcome to the SEC. You get a tough back-to-back, and don't get any tougher than Georgia and Vanderbilt on back-to-back weeks in the SEC, baby.
Diego Pavia. he about to tear Sark up.
All right, so your standings in the SEC. This is what I'm kind of interested in, because you've got
it's a cluster.
Yes, exactly. It's a mess. A&M and LSU both undefeated. They're playing this weekend. That'll get sorted out. Your one-loss teams are Georgia, Tennessee, Missouri, Texas, and Vanderbilt. Go Doors, baby! If Alabama's not going to be there, I am all on
Diego Pavia
anchor down.
Doors.
Anchor down. Let's
I
go.
like Clark Lee. I'm happy for him.
Vanderbilt native. Look, he ain't going anywhere if he gets successful.
I like him.
He's that. Look, that's one of Vanderbilt's problems. Every time they have had a coach that's semi-successful, boop, off to Penn State, boop, off to anywhere else. So, okay, so you got a massive cluster. Alabama is technically in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8th, tied for 8th with Arkansas, Florida. Oh my gosh, this is who you are, Alabama. Like, if you didn't realize that you're having a bad year, you're tied with Arkansas and Florida in the SEC standings. And look, we look around the SEC and perceive Arkansas and Florida as gutter trash.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the class that you're in right now. Oh, it's painful. All right, so the rest of the league, are we liking just the winner of the A&M and LSU to just slot them into the SEC championship? LSU still got to play Alabama.
Yeah, I mean, I think LSU wins that game against Alabama, but I don't necessarily feel comfortable.
They've also got Florida. Oh, and dude, here's their loss. Home against Vanderbilt. The Commodores are coming in.
Go
there.
Doors!
The Death Valley.
But either of those teams, and like you
they got
said
Oklahoma
earlier,
as well.
I've not watched a ton super in depth of A&M or LSU. I did watch A&M dismantle Missouri. Watched most of that game, and they looked very, very good.
Right. So they lost their first game, but they have just
running backs on that team. They can run
They have just been trucking since. They got LSU, South Carolina, Auburn, and Texas. Oh my gosh! If
Texas A&M
on Thanksgiving night. Oh,
please,
the winner goes to the title game.
Please.
Loser is out. Like, we talk about Red River rivalry being welcome to the SEC, and yeah, that's up there on me for my list. But you want to bring in another rivalry that's like the Egg Bowl?
Yes.
Oh, that's just like
these two nasty.
These two programs would take a frying pan and just smash each other in the head with it. Just take you give them each a sledgehammer, lock them in a room, and they just
that's gonna be awesome. I can't. I need that scenario to set up so badly.
Yeah, I'm with that now. Hook 'em horns, go Aggies. Give me that showdown at the end of the year.
Yep.
Winner is in the SEC title game. Loser is out and just reeling. Yeah,
that'd be great.
All right, so it's a big weekend. Just the other games. Obviously, we'll talk about Missouri, Alabama, big time tomorrow. Texas and Vanderbilt. We're excited about that.
This is now Vanderbilt podcast.
And then 6:30, LSU, Texas A&M. You also have slop on the TV late. Auburn and at Kentucky, gross. And slop on the TV early with Arkansas is at Mississippi State. Arkansas is going to dismantle them. They're a 6.5 point favorite.
State, they've been a spry dog the last few weeks.
Okay, all right. You're right. They've hung with Texas A&M a little bit. They hung with Georgia a little bit. They hung with Texas a little bit.
They got a little bit of life in them.
Oklahoma is at Ole Miss. Is that the biggest line of the week? Yeah, Oklahoma is at Ole Miss. That's the biggest line of the week, Mason. What number? How much is Ole Miss favored by? Just guessing.
20.5.
Oh my gosh.
14.5.
You nailed it first.
Really?
20.5.
Wow, that's insane. I thought that was a preposterous guess.
The Texas is an 18.5-point favorite at Vanderbilt.
That seems
that's the next
disrespectful
one.
too.
Alabama 14 over Missouri.
That's insane still.
Arkansas 6.5. We just said that.
Yeah,
A&M is a 2.5-point home favorite.
That's good.
That's a great night. And then Kentucky 2.5 points over Auburn.
20.5.
Will
Ole Miss
Auburn-
is reeling.
Will Auburn win an SEC? Will Auburn win an SEC game this year? Here's what they have left:
I know they got to play
at
Vanderbilt.
Kentucky versus Vanderbilt versus Texas A&M and at Alabama.
Yeah, Kentucky's their best. They better win this week or they're not winning one. I don't think.
The Freeze 5, baby.
Yeah, man.
Cam Coleman going to hit that transfer portal hard. He's going to look good in crimson, won't he?
Yeah, man. Ooh-wee.
Cam Coleman going to follow the Aiden Holloway path.
Yeah, it's tough over there on the plains. It's ooh.
Oh my God. Well, think about this. Think about the scenario that Auburn wins the Cam Ward sweepstakes. Right? So like they're involved in that. They're involved in that in the summer or excuse me, in the spring.
Mm-hmm.
Am I going to the NFL? Am I going to Auburn, Miami, or Florida State? Basically, it was that. It was those four choices, and he chose Miami. Great choice.
Yep.
But does Auburn look different? Like how much different? How many more wins?
They're certainly a much different team with him.
Have they blown all these fourth quarter games with him?
No, I don't think so. I don't think they're undefeated or anything. I don't. But they're probably only like a 2-3 loss team.
What about Florida State with Cam Ward? Because that was another option.
That one is a little more interesting, I think, because like
so bad.
Yeah,
but there's not a heartbeat on that team.
I don't really.
At least
not
with
a
Alabama
ton of
right now. I still feel a heartbeat. Do I have a lot of confidence in that heart? No, but I do.
I think it's there.
Feel a heartbeat.
Yeah, Florida State is an interesting one. They're really. I mean, Auburn's really, really bad, but they've got some talented players here and there. Peyton Thorne has just been atrocious.
Ugh.
So, I mean, hey, we don't even have to. He didn't go there. So it doesn't matter. He's at Miami. He's tearing it up.
Mike Elko, SEC Coach of the Year, first year at A&M. If he just keeps it going these next couple weeks,
we kind of have to think so.
Even if they're third, they finish third. I'd say so.
Yeah, probably. Is he still wearing those giant ghost hoodies on the sideline where he looks like a kid dressed up in a Halloween costume?
Like I said,
I remember week one when they came out, it was almost down to his knees.
I've literally only been watching the games that affect Alabama or their opponents that week, and I think Missouri is the first opponent on Alabama's schedule that's played A&M, right?
I think
so. So that'll be on my list today to look at.
Yeah, all I've seen of it, I watched week one when they Notre Dame, watched that one. And I watched bit of Missouri, but they looked good in that Missouri game. Shoot, they can run the ball, that's for sure.
All right, let's get out of here for the day. We want to thank Purple Turtle Roofing, Druid City Music Hall, and of course, Derek Daniel State Farm for sponsoring the program, Derek Daniel for hosting the program right here in the Derek Daniel State Farm studios, right off of McFarland Boulevard. You can call Derek today at 205-758-3391 for all your insurance needs. Call and see how much Derek can save you today. Had a lot of fun with Mason Woods hanging out right here in the Derek Daniel State Farm studios. You can follow Mason Woods at MAWoods_. You can follow us at Joe Gaither 6. You can find the Joe Gaither Show on the Bama Central YouTube channel or right there on our social media pages or on podcast platforms, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or on Amazon. We'll be back tomorrow. Oh, tomorrow, you know what we're doing? We're going to beat up Joey Van Zimmeren. Are you ready to tag team in 2-on-1?
This will be the first time I think I've actually spoken to him. We've only ever corresponded over text message.
If it's the first time you've ever spoken to him, I need you to immediately curse him out as soon as he jumps on. So, we're going to bring him on. I'm going to welcome him on normally. I'm just going to welcome him on. Hey, it's Joey Van Zimmeren of Missouri Central. But as soon as I finish the intro, you just jump on. You bleeping, you guys don't stand a bleeping, get the chance, and we're going to beat your,
Okay.
You can just be the crazy person for us. Yeah, right.
Little good cop, bad cop.
That sound like a plan tomorrow?
Yeah.
We'll put him on a microscope. Joey Van Zimmeren of Missouri Central. You can find him, actually, Missouri on SI is their official name. They are partners with us. We love Joey Van Zimmeren. Dude, he's a Packers fan.
Ooh.
But you know what? He's like a smart Packers fan.
Is he from the area? Packers. Is he from that area? Or is he just like a Southern person
I don't
who's
think
a Packers
he's from
fan?
Wisconsin.
Why would
I
anybody
think
be
he's from St. Louis? We'll have to ask him
decides
tomorrow.
to be a Packers fan?
He might be from Milwaukee.
Okay.
No, I don't know. We'll ask him.
Yeah, we got to
for
figure that
tomorrow.
out.
Joey VZ_. He covers the Green Bay Packers for the Packers on
I decided to
SI
be a
site.
Titans
He
fan,
covers
so.
Missouri for Missouri on SI. He is a future superstar in this journalism industry. Joey Van Zimmeren, Joey VZ_ will join us tomorrow. We'll get out of here for the day, and we will put Joey Van Zimmeren under the microscope tomorrow on the Joe Gaither Show on Bama Central and BamaCentral.com.
Thanks for joining us on today's edition of the Joe Gaither Show on Bama Central. Keep up with Joe on all his social media pages at Joe Gaither6. Subscribe, rate, and review the show on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, and be sure to read us daily at BamaCentral.com.